Oh, hello. I'm Sketch.
And I'm Shades.
And this is Midstream. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Shades.
Welcome back, Sketch.
How you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you doing?
You feeling a little better?
Yeah.
Feeling a little better. Good.
Not to mix too much real world in our fake world. I'm half vaxxed. I'm looking forward to taking off the helmets and unsealing the opposite ends of the GoCo.
Very good. I am full vaxxed, still in the helmet.
That's okay.
My skin has grafted to the inside padding, and this is just me now. Now that
it's an improvement.
Now that's
a big improvement. Everybody thinks so.
What are they called? What's that pair called? Daft Punk, right?
Yes.
Isn't that,
well,
now that they've called it quits. I mean, we could be new helmeted duo of the pop culture universe.
Oh yeah, because Disney's not going to sue the shit out of us for that one.
Nope. Disney's a very kind corporation. Guys, if you're joining us like live-ish, the as live as a podcast can be joined, then you are coming off of our big, and I mean big. It was a big episode.
Monstrous.
Back to the Future. Spectacular. It was heavy.
It was
in the fourth dimension. It was great.
I had fun, Sketch.
Great Scott. See what I did there? So So before we kind of get into longtime listener response, which there was a lot of longtime listener response for Back to the Future. Do you have anything first in listening to the episode, in sitting on topics or questions?
I don't. Longtime listener of the pod, Alan, disagreed with my assessment of Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of our responses came,
and that's fine. And just kind of, I could go through point by point. You made some excellent points, and guys, it's open to interpretation. I am but one voice on the interwebs. If I'm happy to tell you why you're wrong about these things. But yeah, it's there's some controversy in my rankings of the Back to the Future universe.
Yeah,
but I stand by my thoughts. I re-listened to the episode. I had thoughts. I forgot them. I stand by what I said, guys.
You stand by what you've forgotten already.
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah, I mean, I stand by my rankings of like just jockeying what my favorite is between first and third. And then, my least favorite is 2, but I still gave the whole trilogy a 95. Like 2 it's my least favorite of an incredible trilogy. I was actually thinking about. I was thinking about 1 and 3 earlier today, actually, in preparation for this. Even though I think I enjoy 3 more, I fully recognize that 1 is the best movie.
Yes,
it's the best constructed movie out.
Well, it was designed to stand on its own.
Yeah, and that in and of itself sets it apart.
Strong agree.
But all right, so that was longtime listener Alan.
Yes.
Had some issues. All right, I got some stuff from longtime listeners as well. I'll start with this is kind of exciting. This is a new LTL, a new longtime listener, named Elise. No relation to yours, but she wanted to point out to me excitedly that on her rewatch of the Back to the Future trilogy, you know how we were talking about those things that kind of like tie and foreshadow all 3 movies and the crazy timeline altogether. She said she noticed on this time through in Back to the Future Part 2, the movie that Marty interrupts when Biff is in the hot tub with his ladies is a Clint Eastwood. I think it's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but it's a scene where Clint Eastwood survives being shot in the chest by strapping
the
metal to him.
Yes.
So that now shows up in all 3 movies. the
Interesting.
the the deception of being shot and the reveal of protecting oneself under concealment.
Huh.
Which
I didn't put it together with interesting. I didn't put that together either.
Yeah, that's just like one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, I never, I noticed it, but it never like stood out to me until she said it. And then I was like, oh yeah.
And it brings back that question of where is Doc in his own timeline in the first movie?
Yeah.
Because that's like a whole Inception thing then, that Doc I don't know. Marty
confusing.
writes the letter to Doc in the first movie, but then in the third movie, Marty does it in the past. But then who knows, like, if Doc is like old Doc or young Doc in the first movie, because he has like gene restoration done on his face in 2 to make himself younger.
That is true. Forgot about that.
It's like, I guess that's like my big question that wasn't asked. Where is Doc in his own timeline in the first movie? Like, because he has a time machine at the end of 3. He could go back and incept himself and replace himself, or just be that. I don't know. It's confusing. Anything's possible. It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Well, speaking of big questions.
Yes.
We got some listener answers. We got some big A's to our big BQs.
Okay.
Both Tim Hoshi, longtime Tim Hoshi, friend of the pod, and long-term listener.
Building a like 1/18th, 1/6th replica of the DeLorean.
Yeah, it's large.
It's monstrous.
I've seen it. And good luck, Tim Hoshi.
Yes.
Good luck with that. We'd like to see pictures when it's all done.
When it's all finished.
But he chimed in on this, as well as long time listener, nobody from Jakku. Both
old nemesis.
But yes, both answered your question about where the time train comes from.
Oh, okay.
Apparently that is answered kind of right away in the extended universe, the comics, the official comics.
Yes.
And that the time train is, in fact, the train that crashed into the ravine, as you had hypothesized. Doc spends time kind of gathering and recovering pieces that he could use. And then to further answer your big question of, well, all said and done, where does he come up with the electricity needed to do that thing? According to the comic, he kind of cannibalizes the hoverboard, and inside it there is a, quote, frictionless dynamo that provides the electrical power needed to do it. That is officially the in-universe answer. A
frictionless dynamo, so a perpetual engine.
Yeah,
inside the hoverboard.
Yeah, you remember?
Wait a minute. Wait, then why can't it run on water if it has power? Why? Oh, okay. New big question. If hoverboards, if there's a frictionless dynamo inside the hoverboard, doesn't that mean it has power and shouldn't have run on water?
Yes. If I understand my frictionless dynamos, which I think I do.
Or did they just mean that there weren't rockets on the back of his?
Maybe that's the problem.
Because there were rockets on the back of the Bulldog, right?
Because the
directional rockets.
Yes, there were. Oh, there were. Yeah, that's a good point. There were. Oh, yeah, because he still has to kick with his feet.
Right.
Yeah, that all that thing does is hover. It doesn't provide any forward propulsion. Yeah. I think we unpacked that one. Good job. Nobody also answered my question about the ravine and how this all explains away, what it was, who it was named after, and the original timeline and all of that. And this comes directly from one of the writers who was questioned about this, apparently at a convention long ago.
Okay.
Because I guess I was not the first one to have that question, that glaring question. But according to the writer, Clara committed suicide in the ravine after Doc was shot in the back by Mad Dog, and it was named after her. Which, okay, I'll accept. Yeah, here's my problem though. That means
Marty's story contradicts that about why it's named Barton Ravine.
Well, that means if we're to take that for face value, that means that by the time the movie starts in 1985, in scene 1 of part 1,
right,
we already have Doc back in 1885. Which again, it just gets all screwy, all screwy Louie. And then my problem with that is if okay, so if that's the answer, right, which I have to give credit where credit's due. If that came from a writer, I have to accept it as an answer. But then things get all dicey for me, because then I'm like, all right, so then if that Doc is already in 1885, then the DeLorean is already sitting in the mine,
Hill Valley in 1955.
And couldn't have Doc sent a letter to himself to read when Marty first goes back to 55, and now he's got all of the components to fix the DeLorean and just save all of the trouble, avoid all of the nonsense.
No.
So anyway, that answer, even though I accept where it comes from, to me it opens up a bigger can of worms. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Which one of the writers?
He did not specify in his email.
Oh man.
Okay. New big question. Which one of the writers?
Which one of the writers?
Yeah.
Zemeckis or Gale?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Gale. It seems like something un-Zemeckis, like ever wanting to give any answers to anything. And
it does really seem to me of a shoot from the hip answer, like, I was put on the spot at a panel and here's the answer.
Exactly.
But be careful. Be careful, because now you've opened it.
That really breaks the universe.
Yeah. The last thing I'll bring up from our longtime listeners is, speaking of nobody from Jakku, wrote us quite a defense for Back to the Future Part 2. Listen, yeah, in listening back to the episode, we definitely came down hard.
We're hard on it. I think deservingly so.
Yeah, and I agree, deservingly so. But I'm still going to try to summarize at least a little bit, so there's equal representation out there.
All right, and I'm gonna try and tell nobody from Jakku why he's wrong.
So this is why nobody likes Back to the Future Part 2. I'm just gonna sit on that for a second. I didn't pick the name, but here is why nobody likes Part 2 of Back to the Future. So
you did that one to yourself, nobody.
And I do consider this to be valid. It's not, as we discussed in the episode.
Gotcha.
It's not what we liked about Part 2, but he personally likes that Part 2 has a different MacGuffin than Parts 1 and 3. He's afraid that if 2 had kind of that same fish out of water, let's fix the technology and get back, that the whole trilogy would feel very stale. So he likes the fact that it's it's, when you look at 3 and 1, yes, there are glaring similarities, which I think you and I happen to like, because it's doing what we loved in 1 again in 3.
Right. I'll disagree with that one. And I recognize it. I think it's a valid point. I think that was the cause to introduce the Nobody Calls Me Chicken. Because the DeLorean was so god modded. There's even that scene where Marty jumps off the building and
yes, he does
fly. I mean, that is like the ultimate god modded.
He pretends
DeLorean
to commit suicide,
because in any other movie the DeLorean would have just fallen out of the sky.
Yeah.
And
he does the old Aladdin scene.
I would have actually enjoyed that if the DeLorean after picks Marty up, that the hover conversion conks out.
Yeah, that's what destroys instead of lightning strike.
Yeah,
that would have been a nice change. I would have liked that. Yeah.
Okay, so far 1 for 1.
1 for 1. So another point he brings up is he brings up how the movie establishes how dangerous it is for time travelers to exist at the same time as previous versions of themselves, and uses that to cite why what we had a problem with, you have this time machine, just try it again, do it over again, why not do this? He cites that as evidence as to why you can't do that, which I understand. Yeah, the movie does say that. Doc makes a big deal about not being in the same place as a previous self. But to that I say that goes against my point of we're going back in time knowingly to the exact moment that Marty was there in 1955, and now we're knowingly bringing two Martys into the situation. If it's so dangerous, why are we doing it?
And also Biff's storyline contradicts that.
Which part of
Biff not only goes back to a fixed point in, or not a fixed point, but the same point in time. Like there's two Biffs occupying the same space, and not only do they see each other, they interact with each other and have a conversation. They like physically come into contact with the same object at the same time. So I guess Biff's storyline breaks that idea, although I will say maybe that's what kills old Biff.
Also, Doc runs into his old self as well. He
has a conversation with him on the street.
So it's that thing of like, and I think that's the thing that you and I have a problem with into is that like, all right, Doc starts putting down these really important specific rules, and he immediately breaks them himself.
So
pew, 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 pew. And then the last point that I'll bring up, although it's a very long and very well written defense of part two.
It is. Yep.
But I'm just going to read this verbatim because I don't think I could summarize it any better than it is. Nobody says they did not break the rules of Back to the Future universe in part two when Biff ended up back in the same future that Marty and Doc were in. Right. That was another big issue we had. When things are changed in the past, it sends ripples out towards the future that slowly change the reality. Evidence of this is Marty's siblings slowly fading from the picture in Back to the Future 1, or the gravestone fading in Back to the Future 3. If the timelines behave as you suggest, a picture of Marty and his siblings would have immediately been empty when Marty first pushed George out of the way of the car, and therefore old Biff simply outran the changes he made in 1955 to arrive back in 2015 before it had changed. And then Marty and Doc took off back to 1985 before they saw the changes happen around them in 2015, which I will say, yes, there is evidence of that in the movies, but there's also evidence against that in the movies because when they burn the almanac, the newspapers change immediately.
I'll give nobody this one. I will agree with this and say that Biff dying was not Biff dying. It was Biff being rewritten.
Yes.
To an older version of, in having made the change, Biff doesn't go back to being an old man in, down on his luck in 2015. He's like riding on top of the world, living out his faux Donald Trump casino man of the hour existence.
I mean, in 2015 he's Biff Tannen is preparing for his presidential run.
Right.
Yeah. And so the shuddering we see is just him getting ready.
Just getting rewritten.
Yeah, just getting rewritten.
So I'll give nobody that one.
Yeah, I like the idea of ripples and outrunning ripples before changes happen and yada, yada, yada.
I wish the movie had done a better job of establishing that.
You remember on Legends of Tomorrow, they addressed this a little bit where, where, kind of like the severity of how intense the variant was in the past or whatever they called them. Depending on how serious those were, kind of depended how long it took for the timeline to adjust to it.
Right.
So like the timeline was still fluid while it was cementing in place these big events from the past.
I like that sketch. I just don't like that we're using Legends of Tomorrow to fix Back to the Future.
I'm just saying, I think that's kind of that whole idea that all of this is loose until it has time, no pun intended, to kind of cement and set up.
Yeah, and the thing I'll say about that is Legends of Tomorrow does a really good job of never telling you the rules. They just do something, and then if they decide to do something else, they never established it as a rule.
Yeah,
it just happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to have any effect on the rest of the universe.
Right.
Just their timeline
Right.
and their show. And I like that. It's all just good fun.
And yeah, but I mean, you know,
it's not a thinking man's show.
Nobody from Jakku and Alan, and I'm sure many other longtime listeners have a special place in their heart for part 2. Part 2 is not without its merits. We tried to go over them the best we could, but we also have fun. We have fun ranting.
Yeah,
guilty.
You gotta have something to rant about.
Guilty is guilty, and there's very little in the Back to the Future franchise to actually legitimately rant. So we have fun.
Yeah,
we have fun. And at the end of the day, it's just a wonderful, wonderful trilogy.
It really is. I think I said this in the episode. I think it's the best of those the classic trilogies.
Yeah.
I think it's a more coherent trilogy than Star Wars. I think it's a more coherent trilogy than Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be a trilogy it's certainly a better trilogy than The Matrix, which came much later. Like hands down. And I think it's a great case it's kind of the litmus test for if you're going to do a trilogy and it doesn't hold up as well as Back to the Future, just don't do it.
Yeah. And I think we'll end with nobody's email on the biggest point that he agreed with us on, and I think that's what you're right now kind of getting to as well, is that, you know, we talked in the episode about how these were 3 parts. These were 3 parts of one mega event.
Right.
These were not 3 separate movies that just chronologically took it part one after the other other. These were purposefully segmented into parts, and there's its strength. There's a strength right there in that it's like a 3-week adventure.
Yeah,
just about.
So like
back to the future, guys.
Back to the future.
We got into it. Speaking of Back to the Future, my recommendation was the Josh Gates expedition Back to the Future.
How was that?
And I'm halfway through it because I am watching it with my father, and so I'm like, you know, coordinating like when we can get together to watch it. But it's flipping fantastic. I mean, it's really good, and I'm learning a lot about the movies and the production. There's been so many cameos of actors and actresses from some of them playing themselves as just the actor or actress from the movie, but some of them
playing their character,
playing like a version of their character. Like Strickland is in it as a security guard on like one of the movie sets, and the musician, that guy's
still alive.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell it's him, but he is old. He is much older. And they had the musician from the first one who
Huey
calls
Lewis?
up. No, the guy who calls up his cousin Chuck.
Marvin Berry.
Marvin Berry. Marvin is back as a used car salesman in it.
That's fantastic.
He works for Earth Angel Automotive or something like that.
That's clever.
After he sells Josh and Christopher Lloyd a car, he calls his cousin Hallie to tell him that he finally unloaded this old piece of junk. So they're having a great fun time with it. I'm learning a lot about the series. I'm anxious to watch the last 2 installments of this thing. And
when I posted the trailer to the episode for the links, our recommendations, as I understood it, they're looking specifically, they're looking for all the cars.
And
then there's one lost one that they're trying to find.
There's one lost one that they're trying to recover, and they're going to auction it off for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And but in trying to locate this 7th missing car, they're kind of going down and tracking down the other 6 to verify, you know, where they are and to get any leads on where the 7th one is. And where I've left it at the end of the second part is that they've kind of traced it to Universal Studios Orlando, but mega fans of the franchise and DeLorean collectors pretty much agree that the Back to the Future DeLorean that they have in Orlando is not an authentic DeLorean
car
from the movie. And so as of how far I've gotten in it, that's where the trail has kind of gone cold. This 7th DeLorean was shipped to Orlando. We don't think that's the one on display anymore. What happened to it?
Interesting.
And Christopher Lloyd is fantastic in it, and he's listed as one of the producers of it as well. So
it's fantastic.
He's fully in on this project. So I'll fill you guys in once we completely finish it.
Yeah, the last like piece of Back to the Future that I think is really cool is that people have been trying to like add things to the story since the third movie concluded. They did the animated series, and anything live action always gets like poo-pooed by Bob Zemeckis because he won't do it unless Fox and Lloyd both come back.
Yeah.
If you can't get those two, then we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know what they're waiting for. Just do something.
Yeah.
And because they both keep doing these things for like 30th anniversary or 20, wherever we are at this point. Talk show circuits. They pal around quite a bit.
Yeah, they seem to be still very close.
Yeah. And Michael J. Fox, I mean, he does enough acting work.
Yeah.
Give us something, even if it's just like a fucking special.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Do it. We deserve it after 2020, 2021.
Hurrah. Seriously, give us one last hurrah.
Yeah. So there you guys, you're long-time listeners. You get on that.
Yeah.
Please.
Start the letter writing campaign. We know it works now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, Shades, anything else going on? It doesn't have to be Back to the Future related.
Yeah. There's some news from the multiverse.
Okay.
I will just say I have not read it, but my shade sense is tingling. As comic books often do, things get rebooted, retconned, they abandon storylines, just get abandoned, and Nightwing is back. So Dick Grayson is back to being Nightwing. I have not read the book since I feel like 2018, I think. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this again. When you last left us, longtime listeners, Nightwing had been shot in the head by KG Beast.
Oh yeah, I remember this now.
And he became like I mean, it's just every time I say it, it's just like, oh, so bad. Becomes Rick Grayson.
Yeah.
A cab driver in Bloodhaven. And just like becomes a completely new person. I stopped reading all mainline comic books after that, only reading independent books, but I did see like issue 75, I think they're on. He's back, Nightwing.
Dick is back as Nightwing.
Dick Grayson back to being Nightwing, the one,
not
the only.
Rick is dead.
Rick Grayson, no longer with us.
No longer with us. Okay. This midstream in memoriam of Rick Grayson.
Rick Grayson. You got to have a thick skin to go through a life with your name being Dick.
Yep, you do.
That's I believe that is something he has always maintained.
Oh yeah, we often call him Thick Skin Dick
Grayson. Yes.
Yeah, we're on record.
You're on record.
I'm there you go. I stand
by
that.
So Nightwing is back. Will I pick up the issue? Will I go back to reading it? Stay tuned, longtime listeners. Who knows?
Ooh, what a cliffhanger.
Yeah. As of yet, I have not, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. There we go.
Sketch, you got anything?
I mean, I did finally finish your recommendation in the episode. You recommended Astro Lost in Space.
Oh yeah.
And I finished that up. That was very good. Thank you for kind of reminding me.
You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I had fallen off that. Very satisfying ending.
Right.
Nice, wraps up nicely. Nice 12, 13-ish episode run. I like that. I like it. I've also finished Dr. Stone season 2, which was great, fantastic. And I just started that other show you were telling me about, that dragon show,
Dota, yes.
Dota Dragon something.
Dragon's Blood.
I actually didn't get through the first episode because I have a toddler,
right?
And I couldn't get through it. But consider me peaked. Consider me peaked.
Nice,
looks good.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So that's my worlds lately. A lot of animated things. And Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's the current live action.
Yeah, that's premiered since our last episode, and
and we're almost done.
Yeah, they just put out episode 6.
No, 5.
5. Okay,
so we got 1 episode left.
Oh yeah, 6-episode miniseries.
6 episodes. Yep.
And we're on episode 5, and there will be no season 2.
There will not be. Okay.
Yep. So the only thing that has a season 2 so far is Loki,
which is yet to come out. That comes out next.
Which has already been greenlit for season 2.
Yeah.
I guess that just means Tom Hiddleston doesn't want to do any more movies.
Sure.
So they're going to do a series. I don't know.
Who knows?
Sketch. I'll just go back to what you were saying about Dota, Dragon's Blood. There is no announcement of season 2 yet, but it is in the top 10 in 47 different Netflix regions. So, safe bet it's going to get a season 2.
Yeah.
It is definitely a worldwide hit.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. From what I've seen so far, very good world building.
I'm a big fan, and it's the creative team that did Castlevania, right?
Yeah. So you know them. Yep. You know their quality.
Yep, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'll say I much preferred where this season ended to where the last season of Castlevania ended.
Sure.
Are we on Castlevania season 2 or season 3? I can't remember.
They did we finished 2.
Right?
We're 2 in.
Waiting for season 3.
We're waiting for 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sketch. I just shared with you. They've dropped the second trailer for Fast and Furious, the 9th installment, F9.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a first trailer. So the second trailer was my first.
I broke this to you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cool.
I mean, I knew there was going to be one. I didn't know, with how the world is lately. I don't know where movies are right now in terms of production. But apparently they're
it's
full speed ahead.
Sketch, what are your initial reactions?
I mean, my initial reactions, well, I think I just texted you, Jesus Christ. That's what I texted you. I mean, it's getting, this is going to sound crazy. It's getting ridiculous, and it's been ridiculous for like 5 movies now already. But like, we're going to space.
Yes. Guys, we're going to, I mean, they set up in the trailer that they're going to go into outer space wrapped in what looks like 1920s diving bell helmets and like the rubber gloves that you wear to wash dishes in the sink.
Yep. Just duct taped.
Just duct tape.
Like a hazmat suit. Yeah.
I want to see how that, I think it was Tyrese and Ludacris that were going. I mean,
are
we just going to watch them like explode as they go into outer space? And I
think that's what's going to happen. I do think that's what's going to happen.
An interesting choice.
Those two have definitely become the comedic, the side of the Fast and Furious franchise. So yeah, if you're gonna shoot anyone into space, it's gonna be those two. There's comedy gold for you. John Cena is in the movie,
and we've introduced our favorite part of Bumblebee.
Our favorite part of Bumblebee,
as I believe, as we labeled him, the poor man's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yep.
Stale piece of toast. John Cena as Vin Diesel's younger brother,
as a little Toretto.
Fuck. What the fuck?
The movie character of the last 20 years who has been most obsessed with family. Here we are in the 9th installment, now saying, "Oh, by the way, I have an estranged little brother."
Haven't seen the 8th movie. in the 8th movie, it was all about like he was the villain because he had to protect his little sister, right? Older sister.
He was the villain.
Ex-wife.
Was it the 8th one?
Yeah.
He had to.
He goes rogue to protect Charlize Theron.
Yes, and he's going rogue because Charlize Theron. Okay, spoiler alerts for Fast 8, which I still do not fathom why they didn't call it Fast and Furious V8. But anywho,
V8 instead of Fate of the Furious. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think it's Fate
of the
Fate
Furious.
8, something like that. I don't know, but what happens is earlier in the movie series, after his longtime steady love interest is killed, he gets another one in just one movie, and then then we find out that his love interest survived and has amnesia, and then we spend a movie trying to get her back, and blah 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 blah. So like they are like heavy steady boyfriend girlfriend. I guess they're married now in the movies, but then Charlize Theron has kidnapped that one-time love interest of Vin Diesel's, and she had a baby, Vin Diesel's baby. So Charlize Theron is holding Vin Diesel's baby ransom, basically hostage, to make sure he stays working for her. If you have not seen Fast and Furious 8, I highly recommend it. If nothing, then for the fantastic shoot 'em up action scene that Jason Statham has with an infant carrier. It is amazing. They worked it in.
That's amazing.
But it's Statham at his best. Right.
I read an article with Jason Statham's wife recently.
Mm-hmm.
About how she's like the idea of like who people think he is versus like who Jason Statham actually is.
Yeah,
it was hilarious. I'll see if I can find a link for it. I'll put it in the show notes.
He's definitely, you get Jason Statham for a specific role.
So, sketch where I left Fast and the Furious is in the middle of Tokyo Drift.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this. I have seen 1, 2, and I guess most of Tokyo Drift.
Sure, yeah.
This franchise started out as a bunch of thieves who drive car. They were stealing combination TV DVD players.
They were, yes.
And now they're being launched out of jet-powered stealth car carriers into space. I think they're still stealing TV DVD combos. It's just these are the extremes they're going to now to get them. I'm guessing in the last, I think I remember How Did This Get Made talking about it. There's a thing with a submarine in the last movie.
Yes.
I think Tyrese in the trailer references that and how like he thought that was like over
ridiculous.
The top. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like 2 movies ago it was a tank. And then last movie was submarine. And like the ongoing joke with Fast and Furious has always been like, what's it going to be? Fast and Furious in space?
Right.
Like, yep,
now they're going to space.
Because we're going to space. It is remarkable. Like you said, when you think of where they started to where they are now, it is a remarkable journey. That deserves to be talked about in length, because you could have like a college course on the Fast and Furious franchise.
Well, I mean, I saw the first 2 of them in our college dorm. I watched them. I've only ever seen them because you were such a fan of the franchise.
I really liked the first and the second ones.
Yeah. The second one, I remember you were very excited because they had trucks.
Yeah, they had some trucks. You make me sound like a child, but yeah, I was very excited because there were trucks in it.
There were trucks in this. Like, there are trucks in this one, and you drove and still drive a Ford Ranger. We've talked about this.
Yep.
So you were very excited that they
very excited that we're finally getting some trucks
in Fast and the Furious.
And now we have flying cars.
Now I'm excited for flying cars. Sketch. I want that conversion.
They had me a truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? Fast and Furious has maintained for me I legit watched the first movie and I go, you know, this is a pretty damn good movie. Now
it
I'm like,
single-handedly like brought back autocross and car like street car racing.
And now I watch them, I'm like, this is ridiculous, but this is a lot of fun.
Right.
You know, like they're just like fun, ridiculous movies with like a really loose plot that just like gets you from car chase to car chase to submarine chase.
Really loose. I feel like you're being generous with really loose.
Well, Vin Diesel had a baby, apparently.
I mean, the bonkers thing to me is that like Vin Diesel used to have a rule where he didn't make sequels.
Yeah, now he's made 8.
Now he's
I guess he wasn't in 2 of them, so he wasn't
in 2 or 3, and then there's been like a whole new franchise of these movies, and he's gone back and done sequels to a lot of different movie franchises, but he didn't used to make sequels.
Yeah, changed his
mind. Now that's all he does is make sequels.
It's amazing what a large sum of money will do.
I feel like I need to see this movie. I feel like we need to talk about it on the pod. We've often talked about like, I'm going to watch the first one and the last one, and you're just going to fill in the middle for me.
Yeah. I think this will be the time. This will be the time. Yeah.
I very much enjoyed Hobbs and Shaw.
And I still need to see Hobbs and Shaw. I have not seen
it. Oh my goodness, Sketch. You had a whole like year of being trapped in your house. You're running out of time.
I'm running out of time. Oh, because then life gets back to normal and no more movies ever.
Yeah. Then you're not going to have time.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Oh, I believe it. I think I'll have a good time watching.
And Idris Elba was fantastic.
Is it streaming on anything right now?
It's gotta
be streaming on something,
maybe
but who knows what it's on?
Maybe HBO Max.
Check out the Max. I'll check out the Max.
Here's some news. Here's a quick one. Netflix and Sony have signed an exclusive contract. Netflix is going to be the streaming service of Sony. So all Sony Pictures movies, all of the Spider-Man spin-offs, Venom, everything that they're going to do, and all future Spider-Man movies, even the ones in the MCU, are going to be on Netflix, and all Sony Pictures movies are going to be exclusively on Netflix.
I appreciate
that's a big catalog.
I appreciate that Sony didn't try to make their own.
I also appreciate that Sony.
Thanks for just joining a pre-existing. And let's make that a little more of the regular.
The best of all the streaming services still.
Yeah. Well, they had, I mean, Netflix has had kind of like, they've had the longest, and they've been the ones to set expectations too.
Correct.
So it's easier to make everyone else fail to meet expectations. When
I'm just excited for the fact that hopefully I'll finally be able to see Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yes, that's the new one.
Delayed until November
of.
Fuck you, Sony Pictures.
Of 2021.
2021. Okay. It's supposed to come out in June. Now they pushed it back to November.
Okay. It's better be amazing.
They're really pushing for that in-theater release box office, and I just don't think it's going to happen, guys.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going back. I love movies. I love movie theater. Sketch. I don't think I'm ever going back to a movie theater.
There you go.
I'll wait for VOD.
There you go.
Sketch,
plenty
got
of
anything
options
else
for VOD.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
I'll just wrap with Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, that came out.
It did.
I haven't seen it.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Did you see it?
I did.
Oh wow.
It's a two-word sketch. Atomic Tomahawk.
Okay, I got it.
Atomic Tomahawk. I did not.
Nuclear steak.
No spoilers other than Atomic Tomahawk, and I see what they did there. I like the inference of the groundwork that they laid and what they were trying to do. But just, wow. Talk about like, if people complain about like Justice League or like Batman versus Superman, it's like it's even less dialogue, plot, or story development than Batman versus Superman, and makes even less sense.
Wow.
So the beat 'em up monster movies are not my thing. I don't have a hard on for like Godzilla, Kong, what do you call them? Kaiju.
Yeah.
Like that's not my thing. I mean, I enjoy sci-fi, so I will always go and see it, but it's not like the thing that I will like the hill that I will die upon. But I just felt like big miss. Big miss.
I haven't seen any of the newer Godzillas. I think the last
I haven't
Godzilla
either.
I saw was the Matthew Broderick one.
I enjoyed that. I know it's not people's favorite.
Ooh, we should do it on the show. I did see Kong Skull Island.
Oh, well, that's one of them.
Yeah, but I mean that was a Kong one. That wasn't a Godzilla one.
Yeah, so I guess they did a Godzilla movie with Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
I saw that one. I enjoyed it very much. I thought it was very good. And then they did another Godzilla movie
with Millie
Bobby Brown and the guy from Bloodline. And I guess Kong Skull Island came first. So they did Kong Skull Island, then another Godzilla movie, and now Godzilla versus Kong. But the Bryan Cranston one's not connected.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I really liked that one better. It was just very cartoony.
Well,
it felt like a real divergence from like the kaiju Godzilla and Kong movies of the past.
It's still on the Max, right, for a little while. So maybe I'll check it out.
It's good fun, but it's not incredibly deep.
I like to have good fun.
I felt like it tried to do too many different things.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Also, I question the science of how, like, if that is the construction of planet Earth that they posit in the movie, I don't understand how we're not all dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea.
And I can't weigh in because I haven't seen it.
Not my cup of tea. Long-time listeners, if that's your thing and I've missed the mark, I want to know. Right into the show, I'll tell you why you're wrong.
That's your tagline. That really is your tagline. We need a shirt.
Right to the show, I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And just in good fun. In good fun,
guys.
There are, when it comes to this stuff, I really don't think there are wrong opinions. There's, if you are a fan of something, then it doesn't matter how bad it is because you're going to love it. And we're going to talk more about that in an upcoming episode.
That's why I like doing this podcast, because you just like what you like. And if you like something and I don't like it, I don't hold it against you.
Exactly.
And we just have fun.
If you're a true fan of something, it doesn't matter how bad it is or what other people say of it, because it's your thing.
I will say the only thing is just don't be a toxic fan. Just don't be a toxic fan.
Yeah.
Just be a good. What's the opposite of a toxic fan? Just a fan?
Just a fan.
Just be a fan. Just be a fan.
I don't believe that there are toxic fans sketched. And I think we're going to talk more about that too. Toxic fans are not true fans. They're looking for something else. Is this a good time to then talk about what we're talking about next week? I think it is. All right. So, I guess, should we just, let's come out and say that our next episode is going to be the Geeking Out Season 2 finale. All right. So we're wrapping up Season 2 before we start Season 3. What else would we ever use for our big season finale than the Snyder Cut? The Snyder Cut. Are you surprised? You shouldn't be. And I think we're going to use this opportunity to talk. We've been kind of throwaway joke. We'll talk about that in the Batman versus Superman episode. I think we're going to wind up talking a lot about Batman versus Superman in this episode. It's just gonna come out naturally, I think. There's a lot to talk about with 4 hours and 2 minutes long. Yep, it's a doozy, guys. So if you are gonna follow along with us at home, pace yourself. Yes, because it's a biggie. It is. But it's totally in our wheelhouse to talk about. We have to talk about it. Yes. And it's going to be our big season 2 season. And I'm just going to put this out here. If you're playing along at home and you're going to watch the Snyder Cut before our next episode, which I highly encourage you to do, I will also encourage you to watch the theatrical cut. Yes, you got some homework to do. You don't have to, but I will just say at the top of this, here's just to talk a little about fandom. I'm a fan of this stuff, like DC superhero comic. That is my jam. Yeah. It's like Ghostbusters, Star Trek, The Rocketeer. That's really easy. You can put that in a corner. And then like Batman, Superman, the Justice League, the DC Comics universe. Dick. Grayson. Yeah. I love this shit, guys. And we did Justice League when it came out. We did the theatrical cut. We enjoyed it.
You might say we geeked out, you might say.
We did, recognizing that it was far from perfect. We enjoyed it. And I will go as far to say, and we'll talk about it in the episode, I'm sure, there are things that I enjoyed more in the theatrical cut than I did in the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Very different movies. And I just want to say how lucky I feel to live in a world where I get two versions that I enjoyed with wildly different performances, both with their problems, both with their foibles. How lucky I feel to live in a world where I get two completely different cuts and visions and tone of my characters.
That's great.
Yeah. So I'm excited to do the Snyder cut.
It's going to be quite the episode. I feel like I need to also watch the theatrical. I'll just say before I watched I watched Man of Steel. I watched BVS, like Ultimate Director's Cut Edition. I watched the theatrical cut of Justice League, and then I watched Snyder Cut. Whew, it was a lot. I had a blast. It was a great week. There you go.
It was a great week.
So guys,
I watched Suicide Squad and I watched Birds of Prey again. I watched it all. I watched the whole Snyder universe, if you will.
There you go. There's your homework, guys.
Yeah, do it all. So join us next time for the Snyder Cut.
It's been released.
Ooh. We
have thoughts. We have opinions.
You're going to hear them.
Oh, you're going to hear them. Chase will tell you why you're wrong if you disagree.
All right. And I guess we'll
see you next time, guys.